When Nkechi's seventh suitor fell dead at the village well, clutching his chest and crying her name with his final breath, the elders knew the curse had grown too hungry to ignore. 7 strong men, 7 marriage proposals, 7 deaths within 3 moons of rejection. And Nkechi, beautiful Nkechi with her skin like honey poured on morning light, stood at her compound gate, watching them carry the body away, her face as calm as still water. "I am waiting for Udogwu," she said simply, as she had said to all the others. "Only Udogwu will have me." The women gathering water whispered behind their hands. The men drinking palm wine under the great tree shook their heads slowly, because everyone in the village of Akpiri knew the truth that Nkechi refused to accept. Udogwu was not coming. Udogwu would never come. And with each rejection, with each death, the darkness that followed her grew stronger. Nkechi was born in the small village of Akpiri, where the river ran silver in moonlight and the forest whispered secrets older than memory. Her mother died bringing her into the world, and her father, a humble fisherman named Okafor, raised her alone in their small compound by the water's edge. From the day Nkechi could walk, everyone saw she was different. Her beauty was not ordinary beauty. It was the kind that made men forget their names, that made women cover their mirrors, that made children stare with mouths open like fish, gasping for air. Her skin glowed like the sun dancing on river water at dawn. Her eyes were deep as wells that never run dry, dark and mysterious and full of dreams. Her hair grew thick and long, falling down her back like a waterfall of midnight. When she walked through the market, her wrapper of simple blue cloth swaying with each step, her head wrap tied with careless grace, trade stopped. Conversations ended. Even the goats seemed to pause and watch her pass. But there was something else about Nkechi, something that lived behind her beauty like a shadow lives behind light. When she was just 7 harvests old, a traveling healer came to Akpiri. The old woman took one look at Nkechi and pulled her father aside. "That child carries 2 destinies," she said, her voice trembling like leaves in a storm. "One path leads to joy beyond measure. The other leads to death for all who love her wrongly. She must choose wisely when the time comes. She must choose with her heart, not with her eyes." Then the healer left, and she never returned to their village again. As Nkechi grew from girl to woman, suitors came like moths to flame. But she rejected them all, not with cruelty, but with a strange certainty that frightened her father more than anger ever could. "I am waiting for Udogwu," she would say, her voice soft but absolute. "He will come for me one day. I have seen him in my dreams since I was a child, tall as the Iroko tree, strong as the river in flood season, eyes that see into my soul. That is the man I will marry, only him." "But daughter," her father would plead, "how do you know this man exists? How do you know this Udogwu is not just a dream?" "I know," Nkechi would answer, and her eyes would become distant, looking at something only she could see. "I know the way birds know to fly south when the rains come. I know the way rivers know to flow to the sea. He is coming. I must wait." The first death came when Nkechi had seen 18 harvests. A young farmer named Chukwu, handsome and wealthy, with fields that produced yams as large as a child's head. He courted Nkechi for 2 moons, bringing gifts of cloth and beads, speaking words of love beneath her father's compound fence. Finally, he approached Okafor formally, ready to pay a bride price that would make the fisherman rich beyond his dreams. "I am sorry," Nkechi told him gently when he came to hear her answer. "You are kind and you are good, but you are not Udogwu. I cannot marry you." Chukwu's face twisted with pain and confusion. "Who is this Udogwu?" he demanded. "I have asked every man in 5 villages. No one knows this name. Is he a spirit? Is he a dream?" "He is real," Nkechi said simply. "And he is mine." That night, Chukwu could not sleep, could not eat. His heart burned with a pain that felt like poison spreading through his chest. 3 days later, they found him collapsed in his yam field, his hands clutching at his chest, Nkechi's name on his lips. The healer examined him and could find no cause, no illness, no injury. His heart simply stopped, the healer said, confusion written across his wrinkled face, as if something reached inside and squeezed the life from it. The village whispered. Women at the river said Nkechi carried a curse. Men at the palm wine bar spoke of bad omens, but Nkechi only wrapped herself in her grief like a cloak and waited. Udogwu will come, she said. This was not meant to be. 2 moons passed. A trader came to Akpiri, a man named Ebuka, who dealt in fine cloth and bronze bracelets. He was older than Chukwu, more experienced, more sophisticated. He saw Nkechi at the market and immediately began his pursuit. I have traveled to 10 kingdoms, he told her, holding up a wrapper of the finest indigo cloth she had ever seen. I have seen the daughters of chiefs and the wives of kings. None compare to you. Say you will be mine, and I will cover you in cloth of gold. I will place beads of coral around your neck. You will never want for anything. Nkechi touched the fine cloth with one finger, feeling its smoothness like water made solid. For a moment, just a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Temptation, doubt. But then she shook her head. You are generous and you are wise, she told him. But you are not Udogwu. I am waiting for Udogwu. Ebuka laughed, but there was no joy in it. This Udogwu must be a mighty man indeed to make you refuse such wealth. Tell me, has anyone in this village ever seen him? Does he have form, or is he made of smoke and wishes? He is coming, Nkechi said, and her voice carried a certainty that chilled the trader's blood. He is coming, and when he arrives, you will all see that I was right to wait. 1 moon later, Ebuka was found dead in his sleeping quarters at the traveler's rest house. His body was unmarked. His face was peaceful, but he would never wake again. The heart, the healer said again, his voice now edged with fear. Something took his heart. The whispers in the village grew louder. Some women refused to walk past Nkechi's compound. Some men made signs to ward off evil when she approached. Death follows her, they said. She carries something dark, something hungry. Mothers pulled their sons close and warned them, do not look at Nkechi, do not speak to Nkechi. She is beautiful, yes, but her beauty is poison. It is death dressed in honey and light. But some men do not listen to warnings. Some men see danger and think themselves stronger than fate. The 3rd suitor was a warrior named Obi, who had fought in tribal conflicts and bore scars across his chest like medals of courage. I fear no curse, he declared, standing in the village square for all to hear. I have faced spears and arrows. I have looked death in the eye and laughed. If Nkechi will have me, I will marry her, and no curse will take me. The elders tried to dissuade him. Obi, you are brave but foolish. 2 men lie in the ground because of this woman. Do not add your bones to theirs. But Obi would not be moved. He courted Nkechi with the intensity of a man who believes his strength can overcome any obstacle. When he finally asked for her hand, Nkechi looked at him with something like pity in her beautiful eyes. You are brave, she said softly. You are strong. But you are not Udogwu. Please, for your own life, turn away. Find another woman. Forget me. Never, Obi said. I would rather die than live without trying to win your heart. 2 weeks later, Obi collapsed during training with the young warriors. His strong heart, the heart that had never failed him in battle, simply stopped beating. He died with Nkechi's name on his lips, just like the others, just like all the others. After Obi's death, the village turned against Nkechi completely. No one would trade with her father at the market. No one would speak to her at the well. Children threw stones at her compound and ran away laughing cruelly. Witch, they called her. Death walker, heart eater. The village chief called a meeting, and some argued she should be driven out, sent into the forest to live alone where her curse could harm no one. But before they could decide, another suitor came forward, and then another, and another. Because Nkechi's beauty was a trap that men could not resist, even knowing the price. The fourth man died, the fifth man died, the sixth man died, all within moons of her rejection. All with hearts that stopped for no reason the healers could name. And through it all, Nkechi waited. Her beauty did not fade. Her certainty did not waver. "Udogwu is coming," she would say, even as the village cursed her name. "He is my destiny. These others were not meant for me." By the time the seventh suitor died at the village well, Nkechi's father was a broken man. He spent his days sitting outside their compound, staring at nothing, his fishing nets abandoned and rotting. "What have I done to deserve this?" he would moan. "What sin did I commit that my daughter should carry such darkness?" The village had stopped blaming Nkechi. Now they blamed him. They said he must have angered the spirits when he was young. They said his wife's death at Nkechi's birth was a warning he should have heeded. That night, after they buried the seventh man, Nkechi could not sleep. She lay on her sleeping mat, staring at the thatched roof of their hut, listening to her father's quiet sobs from the other room. For the first time since childhood, doubt crept into her heart, like water seeping through cracks in clay. What if Udogwu was only a dream? What if she had been waiting for nothing while good men died? What if she was the curse, not the victim of one? As dawn broke, painting the sky in shades of blood and gold, Nkechi made a decision. She would go into the forest, into the deep forest where no villager dared venture, where the old spirits still walked. She would find the truth about this curse. And if Udogwu was only a dream, if he did not exist, she would ask the spirits to take her life instead of claiming more innocent men. She wrapped herself in her mother's old wrapper, the one her father had kept all these years, faded and worn but still beautiful. She tied her head wrap and placed her mother's bronze bracelet on her wrist. Then, as her father slept the exhausted sleep of grief, Nkechi walked into the forest. She walked for hours, deeper than she had ever gone, past the places where children played, past the places where women gathered firewood, past the places where hunters tracked bushrats and antelope. She walked until the trees grew so thick that sunlight barely touched the ground, until the air itself felt different, older, heavy with secrets. And then she saw her, an old woman sitting beneath the oldest tree Nkechi had ever seen, an iroko so massive its roots spread like rivers across the forest floor. The woman's skin was dark as the space between stars. Her hair was white as clouds at noon. She wore a wrapper of deep indigo that seemed to shift and move even though there was no wind. Beads of red and black circled her neck, clicking softly with each breath. Her eyes glowed with ancient knowledge and something else, something like pity. "I have been waiting for you, Nkechi," the old woman said, her voice like wind through dry leaves. "Waiting since before you were born, since the day your mother made her choice." Nkechi fell to her knees, tears streaming down her beautiful face. "Please," she begged, "tell me the truth. Why do men die when I reject them? What curse do I carry? And Udogwu, the man I see in my dreams, is he real or am I mad?" The old woman reached out one wrinkled hand and touched Nkechi's face with surprising gentleness. "Your mother was dying," she said. "Dying as she brought you into the world. In her final moments, she called out to the spirits. She begged them to protect you, to ensure you would find true love, not the false love of men who see only your beauty." The spirits answered. "They bound your life to your destined husband. Any man who proposes marriage to you before your true husband arrives will pay with his life. It is protection, child, but protection that carries a terrible price." Nkechi's blood ran cold. "Then Udogwu is real. He truly exists." "He exists," the old woman confirmed. "But there is something you must understand. Udogwu is not his name. It is his nature. In your language, Udogwu means the strong one, the mighty one. Your mother prayed that you would marry a man of great strength and character, a man worthy of the daughter she would never see grow. The spirits took her prayer literally. They showed you visions of this man since childhood so you would recognize him, so you would wait, so you would not settle for less." "When will he come?" Nkechi whispered. "How much longer must I wait? How many more men must die?" The old woman smiled, and in that smile was sadness and hope mixed together like palm wine and honey. "He comes with the next full moon. But Nkechi, child, listen carefully. When he arrives, you must see him truly. Not just with your eyes, but with your heart. The spirits will test you both. They will test whether your love is real or just another dream. If you fail, if you choose wrongly, the curse will consume you both, and you will join the 7 men who already lie in the ground." "How will I know him?" Nkechi asked. "How will I be certain?" "You will know," the old woman said. "But knowing and accepting are different things. He will not appear as you expect. The spirits are clever. They will show you the truth of a man, not the surface. Can you love what is real, or do you only love your dreams?" Before Nkechi could respond, the old woman faded like smoke, and Nkechi found herself standing alone in the forest, the sun already beginning to set. She returned to the village as night fell. Her father wept with relief when she entered their compound. "I thought you had gone forever," he sobbed, holding her tight. "I thought the forest had taken you like it took your mother." "Father," Nkechi said gently, "I need to tell you something. About Mother. About why I wait for Udogwu." And that night, she told him everything. Everything the old woman had revealed. When she finished, her father sat in silence for a long time, tears running down his weathered face. "Your mother," he finally said, "loved you more than life itself. But even love can create darkness when mixed with desperation. We must wait now. Wait and see if this Udogwu comes. And pray that when he does, you recognize him for who he truly is." The next full moon came slowly, each day dragging like a wounded animal. The village watched Nkechi with a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity. Would another man die? Would the curse finally end? Some prayed she would disappear. Others prayed this mythical Udogwu would arrive and break the pattern of death that hung over Akpiri like storm clouds. On the night of the full moon, Nkechi stood by the river, the same river where her father had fished for decades, the same river where her mother had drawn water while pregnant with her. The moon was so bright it painted the world silver. Nkechi wore her finest wrapper, the one Ibuka the trader had given her before he died. She had saved it, kept it wrapped in cloth, and now she wore it as an apology to his memory. Her head wrap was tied with care. Her mother's bronze bracelet gleamed on her wrist, and then she heard footsteps. Not from the village, from the forest. Her heart began to pound so hard she could hear it in her ears like drums at a ceremony. This was it, after all the waiting, after all the death, after all the dreams. Udogwu was coming. The man who emerged from the forest was not what she expected. He was not tall as the Iroko tree. He was average height, perhaps slightly shorter than most men in the village. He was not massive with warrior's muscles. He was lean, almost thin, his body built for endurance not display. His face was not handsome in the way of the men who had courted her. It was ordinary, unremarkable, scarred slightly on one cheek from some old wound. But his eyes were exactly as she had seen them in her dreams. Deep as wells, clear as river water, full of strength that had nothing to do with muscles or height, strength of spirit, strength of character. Strength that came from surviving things that would break lesser men and emerging with kindness still intact. He looked at her, and his face showed no shock at her beauty, no hunger, no greed, just recognition. "Nkechi," he said, and his voice was like coming home after a long journey. "I am called Udoka, but my mother named me with hope. Udoka means peace is better. In my village, they call me Udogwu, the strong one, not because of my body, but because I survived what should have killed me. I have walked for 3 moons to reach you. The spirits showed me your face in dreams and told me you were waiting, told me you needed someone who understands what it means to carry darkness and still choose light." Nkechi stared at him. This ordinary-looking man, this Udoka who was called Udogwu. And she felt her heart crack open like a seed splitting to let new life emerge, because she understood now. The spirits had not been showing her what he looked like. They had been showing her how he would make her feel. Safe, understood, home. "You are not what I expected," she said honestly, and her voice shook. "I know," Udoka said gently. "The question is, will you reject me like the others? Will you send me to my death because I do not match the dream in your head? Or will you see me as I am and know I am real?" Tears ran down Nkechi's face, carrying moonlight like liquid silver. She thought of the 7 men who had died. She thought of her father's grief. She thought of the village's fear, and she thought of her mother's desperate prayer. "Let my daughter find true love, not false love, true love." She stepped forward and took Udoka's hand. The moment their skin touched, something shifted in the air, like a door closing, like a curse lifting, like chains falling away. The bronze bracelet on her wrist, her mother's bracelet, began to glow with soft golden light, then crumbled to dust that the wind carried away. "I see you," Nkechi whispered. "Not the dream, not the fantasy, you. And you are exactly who I have been waiting for." The old woman appeared then, manifesting from the moonlight itself, her smile warm and knowing. "The curse is broken," she declared. "Nkechi has chosen with her heart, not her eyes. She has chosen truth over fantasy, real strength over the appearance of strength. The debt is paid." She looked at both of them, and her ancient eyes were gentle. "Your mother's prayer is answered, child. May you find the happiness she wanted for you. May you build a life that honors her sacrifice." And then she was gone, dissolving back into moonlight. Udoka and Nkechi were married 3 days later beneath the great tree where the elders gathered. The whole village came to witness, still half afraid, still half disbelieving. But when they saw how Udoka looked at Nkechi, not with lust or greed, but with genuine love and respect, they began to understand. And when they saw how Nkechi looked back, seeing him truly, seeing past surface to soul, they knew the curse was truly broken. Udoka proved to be everything his name promised, not through physical strength, but through patience, wisdom, and an unwavering moral core that made even the village elders seek his counsel. He helped Nkechi's father rebuild his fishing business. He mediated disputes in the village with fairness that left all parties satisfied. He was kind to children and respectful to elders. He was, in every way that mattered, Udogwu, the strong one, the mighty one. And Nkechi, freed from the curse, began to use her beauty not as a trap, but as a tool for good. She taught young women that outer beauty means nothing if the heart is ugly. She counseled girls to look for strength of character, not strength of body, in choosing husbands. She became a healer of sorts, helping mend marriages that were broken, teaching people to see each other truly rather than through the distorting lens of fantasy and expectation. Years passed. They had 5 children, 4 daughters, and a son, each one taught from birth to value what is real over what appears beautiful. They lived in a new compound built with their own hands, larger than her father's simple hut, but still humble, still grounded, still real. On the anniversary of their wedding, Nkechi and Udoka would walk to the river at night under whatever moon hung in the sky and remember. Remember the curse. Remember the deaths. Remember the moment when Nkechi chose to see what was real instead of what she had imagined. And they would be grateful. The village of Akpiri learned a lesson from Nkechi's story. They learned that fantasies can kill, that waiting for perfect can mean missing good, that true strength has nothing to do with height or muscles or handsome faces. They learned that love sees truly, or it is not love at all. And they taught this lesson to their children and their children's children, so that no one else would have to pay the price that 7 good men paid for loving a dream instead of seeing what was real. And they lived happily ever after, not because their life was perfect, but because they saw each other clearly and loved what they saw. The end.